the writing said you think is going.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So,
Hey, guys, it's 11:07. Let's kick this off.
Yeah.
Michelle,
All right. Okay.
welcome everybody.
Yeah.
And get our real estate agents some important information that they need to know.
Yeah.
that, hey, this stuff looks a little.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, this is going to be a great call. I mean, just even in our little warm up here, you guys have shared some good stuff that I know a lot of agents are, concerned about. And, with everything changing, like we said, by the day, it's a little confusing too. So
It's a good sign, Todd, that you said that rates are down.
Yeah, that's certainly going to help
yeah.
fuel the real estate. This is typically a very busy time of the year for real estate agents and myself, and actually anyone tied to this industry, I should say. So it's almost essential right now for us to keep going.
Yeah, you have to figure out new ways. Still have to get it done the other way,
Keep the market going if the rates stay low.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
What are rates down to, Todd? Or you want to save that? Or you want to save that to the end?
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll give a little crumbs for them to stay tuned.
Yeah.
On Friday, I quoted somebody in the very low threes on a 30-year fix.
Oh, good. Okay.
So those are definitely desirable interest rates.
That's good news.
15-year, we're in the high twos.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay.
Good news. I like
Nothing
it.
to complain about.
I like it. All right.
All right. So you let me know, Adam, when you're ready to go, and we'll.
Yeah. Well, it's 11:01, so we have a
40
ton of attendees that just came in now, but let's give it another couple of minutes, and
Okay. Good.
we'll
Perfect. Thanks.
make sure everybody's
good. Mike's on.
So yeah, so maybe we'll start, in another 3 or 4 minutes. I don't want to make all you realtors that are on right now that got it done on early way too long.
Right. Way too long.
Our apologies. We just want to make sure we
Right.
get everybody in.
Okay. All right.
So where are you getting these masks, Brett? You said you had some.
Oh yeah.
What were they called?
We've
kind of masks?
had professional masks since Tina's a New York State licensed mold assessor. We've always had
Oh.
our P100 masks and
P100 masks.
Yeah,
Is that like the
95.
kind with the?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's a rubber mask that can be washed afterwards, and it seals to your face, and it's got cartridges that last upwards of 6 months. And then we have our normal P100 masks also that don't let anything in. So, when you're in a crawl space, you need to have protection as well. Or if you're in an attic full of insulation, you need to have protection. So we've had that for a while. So it's not, not crazy. So
Right.
the gloves were the kicker. 3 weeks ago, we did an inspection, and the homeowner was like, everybody needs to be gloved and masked to come in. We're all immunocompromised. So I went on Amazon and ordered 2 boxes. I wasn't greedy. I just got 2 boxes of surgical gloves. And, if I run out of those, I'll figure out how to get more, but I'm still good on those. So
I went to talk about, greedy. I went to Walmart on Friday for my Rotary group, because so many of the local shelters are completely out of diapers, baby formula, right? All this wipes and all this stuff. So I go to Walmart and I buy $700 worth of baby formula and diapers. The looks that I was getting at the checkout counter.
Yeah.
Like, these people are looking at me like
you're
this guy's a
hoarding.
jerk.
Yeah. Aw.
Not for me. It wasn't for me.
You want to wear like a big sign? I'm donating. Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
Aw.
But yeah, I definitely took some daggers.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, right. So this is the mask that my mother made me on Saturday.
nice.
And I look like I'm going to rob a bank. That's
That's funny.
I made you a mask, honey.
Aw.
Okay.
That was nice.
All right, we'll take it
So
away back.
someone that I know took a she goes, I'm going to be fashionable, and she took a Louis Vuitton dust bag. So that's like a bag. You guys won't know this, but it's a bag that pocketbook comes in. It's like in a dust bag. And she used that and she made a mask. So it's like, says Louis Vuitton on it. She's like, I'm still going to be fashionable even with my mask.
All right, so
like,
we got, what time is it now? If guys, if you, Realtors, if you're just joining us, we're just waiting for a few more agents to jump on the call. And also, feel free to use the chat button on your screen or the Q&A button to ask any questions for our experts, and we could.
Well, we have a question already in Q&A. Adam, I don't know if you can see them also. And Brett, this is a question for you because, just warm up. Again, it's not about our topics today, but she's asking what's the best mask material that someone can use?
Sure.
You know that?
Well, I think she was referring to my homemade mask.
Yeah.
So what I would say to that is the problem is that most masks will let things in. So especially if that material gets wet. So as soon as the material gets wet, other particles can go through. So you got to be careful what you're using as a mask. The best things, again, are if you can find an N95 or a P100 or even an N99. The 95 refers to 95% of particles will not get through. The 100 is 99.9. I mean, there's still a small percentage, but the cloth masks are good, but you still need the social distance. So,
right. It's better, right? I think it's better than nothing, right? It's better. One of those is better than nothing.
Yeah, the one your mom made, if somebody sneezes on you, you're done.
Yeah.
So like it's going through that. So that's not going to protect you. So,
well, don't tell my mom that, please.
Right.
Okay, she's already worried
she's
about
saving
me.
you. Yeah.
Homemade.
I'm not going to tell her that.
Great video of a guy spraying aerosol through all the homemade ones, and everything just goes right through it. If it's cotton, it's getting through. Everything is meant to breathe on our bodies. Unfortunately, the stuff that we get.
Right. Well, she made it out of polyester.
Yeah,
the polyester fabric, which I would think would be better than cotton, right?
Yeah. Somebody was saying something like the higher thread count on a sheet, would be better because it's got, there's more threads.
Woven. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just be safe. That's all I tell people is just be safe and
yeah.
Like the one my mother made does have 2 layers of fabric there.
Yeah.
You can see. I mean, again, I'm sure it's better than nothing, but
it will.
If you can't get yourself a professional mask, it's something.
You're not going to be able to order anything online because everything is going.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So.
Hey guys, it's 11:07. Let's kick this off.
Yeah.
Michelle,
all right. Okay.
Welcome everybody.
Yeah.
And get our real estate agents some important information that they need to know.
Yeah. So welcome everyone. Thank you guys for joining us today. As you know, we're going to do this every single Monday, and we have some great guests and panelists on to share some important information for you. I know a couple of people have already sent me some texts and messages with things that they want to know. We're going to address everything that you've asked me about so far in this webinar today. So we're joined by Adam Heller, the owner of Heller & Consultants Tax Grievance. We're co-hosting this weekly webinar. Brett Freebody, the owner of National Property Inspections, and he's going to share with you guys how you can still get these inspections done, which I know are really important, especially when you have a deal that you want to close. Chris Romano, the senior partner of Cassidy Romano & Love, he's going to also tell you how they're helping their clients get their deals closed. And we'll have our weekly wrap up with Todd Sangiovanni, Finance of America Mortgage, who's going to tell you what's happening with interest rates and how they're still getting loans to the closing table. So great information. Brett, I know you have an inspection to go to not too long from now. So if you want to start off and just give everybody an update on how you can still get inspections done. I know they're changing daily. Can people go in the house? Can they not go in the house? Can you give us an update and give some tips on how the agents can do that?
Sounds good. So, we've been operating, since the beginning of all of this. We applied right away with New York State EDS to make sure that, hey, this stuff looks a little, the writing said, if you're dealing with safety in a contracting company, you could still work and you're considered essential. So I applied right away. We got our designation right away within 2 days saying that we could work, but we needed to adhere to CDC guidelines, which we've been doing for 3 weeks now. We've been masked and gloved for 3 weeks. Everybody thought this lady was crazy when she wouldn't allow people in her home without gloves and masks on. And we said, no, we'll do that. We went in glove, mask, booties, everything. And, everything was fine, and we're all still healthy, and she's still healthy. So, that's a good thing. But we have our own guidelines within our company that no more than one person is allowed to be present, whether that's the buyer or the seller. It doesn't matter to me. So we all have a nice discussion about that to figure out who's going to do what. The one I'm doing this afternoon happens to be for 2 doctors, and neither one of them want to get in contact with anybody else, which I was thankful for. So they won't be coming to the inspection, but the seller will be there. So the seller will stay quarantined, if you will, to one room, and we'll inspect that room first. Then they'll go into that room, and we'll do our inspection like we normally would do. We're different than most companies. Tina and I inspect together. We actually live together, so that's fine. If we didn't, we wouldn't be inspecting together anymore. But we do live together. So she inspects the outside, I inspect the inside. She goes up into the attic, I'm in the crawl space. So, we're in and out pretty quick.
Right.
So the exposure is limited by the way that we do things. But, again, the people that I'm doing today, I was on the phone for 23 minutes with them yesterday, and they hadn't even hired me yet.
Okay.
So, just kind of asking questions and making sure we're going to do things safely. And I went through a process with them, and they were very happy with that.
You said that was, your company, you have your specific, procedures and protocol that you've put in place. Do you know, like, what is the legal end of it for in general for all property inspectors?
Sure.
Are buyers and sellers allowed to be in the homes together, or is that just a choice
It
your
should
company
be
is
limited.
making?
It should be limited how many people are in the home. The whole family should not show up.
Right.
Again, I'm not allowing it. I'll walk away if they show up and they're like, we all need to be here, and I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Right. Okay.
I'm more concerned with the seller's safety, people touching things, people breathing all over their house.
Right.
I don't know what kind of PPE they're going to show up with. So we're pretty strict. I don't know what other companies are doing other than, again, they were told they're allowed to be open. So, NYSAR put that out, before, and they also had put something out previously from the New York State Association of Home Inspectors, which is actually not our governing body. It's a private body, a private association, saying that they were told we were not allowed to inspect, which was just totally false.
Right. Okay.
You had to apply. We applied, and they said, yes, because you are mold assessors, New York State home inspectors, and termite inspectors, you are essential. So, you can operate with staying within CDC guidelines of social distancing, basically.
Okay.
So that's when we talk to, because we actually own 3 franchises. So we own all of Long Island for national property inspections. And I talked to corporate, and they said, you do what you got to do, make your own rules, be as strict as you need to be, where, my insurance is fine with what we're doing. So I've talked to my E&O carrier, and we're completely covered with them. So that's good. So again, we're just limiting it to one person at the inspection.
Okay.
I think you guys have a tough job because you got to figure out how to get creative. Adam and I have talked about this. Real estate agents have to get creative now. The virtual listing and a virtual showing, letting the seller walk around their home with the buyer on the phone that you connected. I mean, I think you should definitely talk to your sellers on what to say and what not to say, and just keep it basic. But people still want to see. We're in this culture of seeing and touching, and being there. It's an important part of it. But we give all of our customers. I tell them, listen, when we're done, we'll do a virtual walkthrough with you and show you all the important things. So yes, there's going to be a lot of little things like on every home inspection, but we're going to go over the major areas of concern right then and there. And like we've always done, we tell that to the listing agents as well as the seller if it's real major safety things. Like, let's say there's a gas leak, God forbid, or something like that. Obviously, we still, inform the sellers what's going on in their home if it's something major. But if it's normal little things, we're just going to do our job and then talk to them the next day.
So is it taking much longer for you now to not necessarily inspect the home, but the time that you have to spend afterwards with the seller, especially I'm sure with the buyer and with the real estate agent?
Yeah, I would say it is, because normally, our process is that they come and they're there for about 15 minutes and then they're with one of us for the remainder of the inspection. So what would normally take 3 hours takes an hour to an hour and a half. Like I said, I was on the phone for 23 minutes without them even knowing what's going on in the house. So
Right.
I'm sure that next phone call is going to be even longer, plus writing the report and doing the work. It is what it is. I'm flexible. I just want people to know what they're buying. I mean, that's kind of, we've always prided ourselves on educating people about the home. Because we used to both be teachers, so we still do that. We're educating them what's going on in their house, and we're going to continue to do that, the best we can. So.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are awesome. I'll tell you, I actually, Brett, I'm in contract to purchase a home right now, and Brett did the inspection. It was probably right before before it, right?
Yep.
We were probably maybe a week before.
Yeah.
But I think your main point to sellers and to buyers and to real estate agents is you need to be flexible. And like we said last week on last week's webinar, you cannot do business how you were used to doing business. You need to be resourceful and figure out new ways. And I'm so glad, Brett, that you're doing that. And I think everybody on our panel is, because there are, I'm sure, a lot of inspectors that are kind of just sitting on their hands at home and just saying, you know what, I guess I'm just gonna, hang it up until this thing's over. Are you hearing a lot of that from other people in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, there are people who, and again, you got people that are immunocompromised, so they can't be working.
Right.
My friend owns a contracting company. He had to close because he just had a heart attack, like a month and a half ago. So he's like, I'm not working right now. I'm not getting sick. So, thank God we're healthy. So, our kids are healthy. We're healthy. We've known people in our town in Carl Place that had it and have recovered, that were, not immunocompromised. It's all about that. I mean, if you have some underlying conditions, this is the worst part of this. If you already have some respiratory issues and then you get this can be really bad. So we have to be safe, and that's what we're doing. We're doing everything as safe as we can, as professional as we can, trying to remain positive in everything we do. You're never going to see a negative post from me on Facebook. I've been sending out nice positive messages to my agent list.
So important right now. So important to stay positive.
You got to stay positive right now. I mean, we're all going to get through it together. It's really nailed our industry because I usually do 15 to 25 inspections a week this time of year. So, I did 4 last week. So that just shows you that the brakes were just put on. Again, maybe some misinformation, scared, all of it, it is what it is. And people have a right to be scared. It's scary. We've never dealt with it before. So you do have to be creative.
We've got a question here, Brett. I don't know if you could field it, but this is from Glenn Hagan. He says, one of the realtors on our call right now, he says, I hope you can discuss what we can or cannot do. For example, can I enter my client's house? Can I have a photographer enter the home? That's his question.
I don't know if Chris can answer this better than I can, but what I read from NYSAR, you got to practice social distancing, period. So, that's something that real estate agents must do. And a lot just are saying, I'm not going in. So many real estate agents have told a firm line that they're not going to go in. I respect that 100%. Like, it's about their safety too. They want to come out the other end, not worry about it right now, which I get. As far as photographer goes, I'm not sure. So they would have to, again, you have to apply. So if you weren't in the list of essential and you didn't fit into a certain category, and I think there was like 12 or 13 different categories. If you didn't fit, you needed to apply. Now, if you are a sole proprietor, that was in there that you could, but who's going to let you in the home?
Right.
They can take their own photos. They may not be super professional, but you could talk to your client and say, do it this way, and kind of open up a dialogue with the seller to get some photos to at least get it out there. I'm not sure on the photographer though. They would definitely, my suggestion to anybody who feels they were closed, you need to ask, You need to apply.
but
And they'll say yes or no.
I guess if they're letting the agents do virtual shows, you would try to make the argument that it was similar to that. That's as long as they're following CDC.
Yeah, you got to follow it. You got to, if you touch anything, you're supposed to clean it afterwards. If you're supposed to stay that 6 feet, I would say even more than 6 feet away as possible. So, I mean, I haven't gone to the grocery store in 6 days. I've been eating bean salad for 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not trying to get sick here. That's not the whole point. But I am available if people need me. So, it is what it is.
Right. Yeah. So Brett, I know you have people can contact you if they have.
I'm open for questions, whatever you need. So.
Yep. Okay. So
Yeah,
you'll
what
stay
we'll
with
do,
us.
Michelle, is we'll in a follow-up call after the webinar. I'm sorry, in a follow-up to the call, we'll send out an email with Brett's information, how you can contact him if you have any questions. If you're an inspector, maybe you have a home inspector, but maybe they're of the compromised group. Maybe they have some illnesses where they can't actually get out and inspect the home. So, maybe Brett could come to your rescue there. And we'll have all the information on how to reach him.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We'll send out the recording of this also. So thank you so much, Brett, and stay on with us as long as you can in case,
I'm here till,
I know you have that other. Actually, a friend of mine, Lily Taverna, is on. She's a real estate agent, and she said that she's scheduled a few unaccompanied showings. So we'll bring on Chris now. So Chris is from, like I mentioned, if you're just getting on, he's from senior partner at Cassidy Romano and Love, one of the best real estate attorneys that we know, and he can give you guys some updates. Chris, let everyone know, I guess, what what they can do, what they can't do. I know there's been again a lot of back and forth, and people are unsure.
Yeah, there has. Michelle and Adam, thank you so much for the opportunity. You guys are great to work with. So yes, there's a lot of back and forth. I know a lot of agents are probably calling most to see what they can do as far as showings and the like. Michelle, I think we were speaking earlier that on April 1, NYSAR came out with a letter or guidance that almost seemed like it was back to doing business and able to do showings with regard to the CDC requirements as best you could and the distancing. And of course, us in the real estate industry, we got that. We all sent it to each other and like back in business.
Right.
And then about 48 hours later, they came back and said that no, that wasn't the case. And that for realtors, it has to be virtual showings.
Right.
And so I have some close friends and family members that are realtors. And so I'm right on the front lines with them all the time because I'm concerned for them. And,
right.
They're clients of mine and we're doing business together. But really, one question I had with the realtor is if you're not doing the showing yourself and you're just setting up the appointment, would that be allowable? And so one of my clients did that this weekend where she basically didn't do the showing herself. She said, this is the seller. They're going to be there at 3:00. Go look at the house.
Okay.
And, they didn't actually do the showing. But they did kind of.
So the seller and the buyer got together and they just correct. Did their own. Okay. Mm-hmm.
They did their own thing. And so, somebody said, is that facilitating? Could you still could that still be a violation? In this market, there's so many undetermined things. There's so many gray areas that it's hard to say. And I guess you can submit that question to NYSAR maybe. They have their legal line and say, I'm looking for clarification on this. A couple of clients, investors, they have vacant houses. They're giving the code directly to the buyers. I did this on a couple of my own.
Okay.
Your window is 2 to 3. Here's the lockbox code. I'll be there at 3:30. You should be gone. I can look at the house, make sure nothing's damaged, change the lockbox code. For vacant houses, I think that may be the way to go. I actually told one of my clients who's in a double deal, but she's got to look for, she's in contract on her sale. She says, I can't find anything. I can't even start looking until May 1st.
Right.
I said, but for virtual or start looking at vacant houses.
Right. That's what I've been hearing. A lot of agents, some agents were upset when they said, okay, business is open. But, there were a lot of other agents that were really happy saying, I have clients that I'm trying to help. These people need to buy a home. They sold their house already. They have nowhere for their family to go. So I think just, again, loosening up some of the restrictions, of course, everyone's main priority is to keep everyone safe. But,
Yeah.
having some looser, guidelines so that people can still do some transactions. It's not just about the money. It's about, people need a place to go in a lot of scenarios, like you just said. So as far as Lily Verna also just said to have legally prepared waivers. So have you heard anything about that, Chris? Or people asking for waivers?
I haven't. I think it's interesting, though. I guess she would propose the waiver by the seller and the buyer, perhaps. Is that
That's what I'm
you're
thinking.
talking about? Which, I'm a lawyer. I love papers and waivers.
Yeah, right.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And certainly, if you're staying within, the CDC and the distancing. I mean, if nobody's at the house or you're 6 feet away and you're wearing a glove and a mask, I think you can cut down a lot on the exposure, obviously.
Right. Okay. So
I think
here,
that would probably be a good idea.
Antoinette Trelizzo. So she's saying, there are hold harmless agreements floating around. And so, some companies, some real estate companies, it looks like, have been preparing them and having both parties sign a hold harmless agreement. That sounds like it would probably.
Yeah, I haven't seen any myself, but I expect I would see them soon.
Okay.
You could probably tailor a hold harmless agreement that, attorneys use at closings for other things.
Okay.
Obviously.
Right. Okay. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now, Chris, you also said that you're seeing a lot of these closings now are all happening like through the mail and virtually, like no one's actually going to a closing table anymore. Like you're still having deals closed.
We're able to get them done. We're still closing, just like Brett said, the volume isn't as much. It's half or,
Okay.
maybe not even that, but
Okay.
there's a lot of people who do need to close deals. And so we're doing a lot of mail-aways where I can have the seller pre-sign all the docs and we FedEx it. And there's an escrow letter, which funny, a lot of REO attorneys been doing this for a long time. Anybody who buys a lot of auctions, they've been mail-aways for a long time.
Right.
So
Right.
that was easier to get people to accustom to. We have some closings in this office where for whatever reason, people are insisting on it. We have 3 conference rooms and we put the title closer in one room, the seller in another, the buyer in another, and nobody's even close to each other.
Very
Wow.
smart.
Yeah.
And I've had people like really thank you, like a title closer, say this is fantastic. She's like,
they
I
need
won't
to
go to
work
most
right.
other offices because there's no room. She's like, we're all
Right.
spread out.
Okay.
And
yeah.
You try to make do where you can. Some other issues recently, we spoke about it before. Some people have been hesitant to do walkthroughs.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously the clients, I think my advice, if anybody was on before, was, go and do a drive-by and make sure the house is still there.
Right.
Didn't down, plane didn't crash into
Right.
it. But then maybe put some money in escrow. And then
Right.
once you get possession, sanitize it down. They have to hold the money and they'll let me know if everything is the way it should be. And it's not perfect, but
it works.
It works.
Okay. Right.
You had any pushback on that?
My couple for today asked us if we would do that, if we would do the walkthrough for them. And I said, well, we do offer a walkthrough service where we just charge $150 to go back and test the appliances and turn on all the lights and do all that.
That's a great option.
If you're not comfortable, then we can, again, that's part of my business. So I can do that for them if need be. So we could always
smart option.
Walk through.
Awesome. And one of the agents, Antoinette, she just said she did 3 FaceTime walkthroughs this weekend. So having someone on FaceTime, she's the agent, she's in there alone, and she can walk through and show everything's working.
Love it, Antoinette.
Yeah, listen, everyone has to be resourceful. And Chris, we were saying this earlier, how you said, closings like with REOs and things like that, it happened with mailers, in the past. It does seem like, maybe some of the new ways that we have to come up with to do business will stick around even after this is all over, because either they're more efficient. I know anyone that's bought a house in the past probably knows that, your closing date is not usually the closing date because someone can't make it, someone over, their time or something. So, what a great way to kind of cut down on everyone's time and make things happen on a more scheduled timeline. So it sounds like some things that we're doing might, in the long run end up, beneficial to all of us. So
Chris, again, this is Chris Romano. He's an amazing real estate attorney. Your office is in East Islip, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So we were just chatting before the webinar, right, for a couple of minutes, and you kind of indicated you're kind of loving or liking a little bit, I guess, the virtual closings.
Yeah, I think they're you do a lot more due diligence before you get to the closing when you have it, because you have to have everything, which actually makes for a smoother closing. And in addition, if you can do mailaways or virtual closings, I mean, how much time do we spend driving and putting in gas? And a lot of times it's not efficient. And I think it's probably more efficient way to do business. I haven't had any with the mobile notaries yet, or I should say the remote notary. There's a lot of guidance coming out. Nobody's used to doing it in New York yet. So I'm really trying to see where we can work out the kinks there, because that's the last part where it kind of still requires personal appearances, because the notary has to witness the people signing the documents and the bank attorney. But if we can get that in order, and I know it's only a temporary thing from the state at this point, the ability to do them, but I think that may be the next way to go. That'll really, improve things.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to clarify something too with, well, let's see, Chris, a question for you. Do you anticipate
Sure.
more closing? Oh, do you anticipate more closings in the future to be mail away? And that's kind of what you were just touching on. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like if the people that are participating in them are going to encourage it, moving forward, because it sounds like it is, like you said, more efficient. So, and
It
Antoinette
definitely is.
wanted to
And some people
clarify.
want to be there and have their check in their hands, and I get it.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of
Right.
personalities.
But who's stuck in traffic? Who's late? Who can't make it? Like,
Always something.
I've been on the way to closings, and then it's like you had to turn around because it got canceled, and you're like halfway there. So,
Very
yeah.
true.
Right, you're always waiting for somebody, it seems like.
Yeah. It
That's
sounds
cool.
like, again, that could be one, positive thing that comes out of
I
it.
think it's going to be a very positive thing
Yeah.
that comes out of this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And then Antoinette also said she wanted to clarify, because she said that she did 3 walkthroughs on before the closing this week, but she said that the buyers and sellers organize that themselves. The agents are only walking through as an agent vacant properties. So just to
Gotcha.
clarify
Yeah, I
that
was
she didn't
curious
go
about
through.
that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
She said
But
Still a
I would
gray area.
recommend, though, that that real estate agents are still involved, even when they're not there physically, either through telephone or FaceTime, or
FaceTime.
Zoom or something. Real estate agents are just so important to our economy, health, and they just feed so many other businesses like ours, and I do want to really thank them for continuing to do what they can do during this crisis. All right, Michelle, what do you think? We should hear from Todd now?
Yeah, let's
Mortgage
bring
industry?
Todd on. So for those of you that joined us last week, we had Todd Sangiovanni, Finance of America Mortgage, and he's going to join us again here today just to give us an update. Obviously, things are changing like very quickly. There's been changes almost on a daily basis sometimes of what's allowed, what's not allowed, obviously what's happening with mortgage rates. So Todd, can you give everyone an update on what's happening with mortgage rates? Are you still able to close loans? How are you making that happen?
Good morning, and thanks for having me back. Yes, we're still making that happen, and actually was a great segue from Chris about talking about virtual closings. We rolled that out actually today. We had something in the works prior to this pandemic, and today we started like a test pilot prior to this, and rolling it out for the bank I work for. It's Finance of America, and so all but 6 documents can be done virtually. The rest require wet signatures with notarization.
Okay. You would just, again, same like Chris said, you're just FedExing these documents, they're signing in front of a notary and then sending them back.
We'd start doing that way. We're trying to do this electronically now.
Okay.
So the documents could be e-signed.
Okay.
So how does that
So
work with the
DocuSign or
notary?
something.
I'm still not really clear on that. Maybe it's a kind of
No,
question
the
for
notary,
Todd, but also, yeah.
the notary as of now still has to have a physical presence. And obviously they're going to practice social distancing like we're supposed to.
Mhm. So for those handful of documents that need a notary, that's what the buyer would have to go and bring it to someone.
So a notary public, and you know, maybe this is not only a question for Todd, but maybe for Chris too. So can a
Yeah.
notary public, a notary in New York State, notarize a document electronically? You know, by speaking to that person on the phone or seeing them on the phone. How does that work?
There's some guidelines put out by a few of the title companies. And if anybody's interested, I can kind of send them out. You know, they can just email me. I'll give it and I'll send out what the guidelines are. And there's basically like 5 or 6 questions mandatory that you have to ask them. They do have to be in the state of New York if you're a New York notary. So we had one person last week. We had to do a closing, and they lived in Jersey, but on the New York border. And we had them drive just over the border into New York so somebody could do the mobile notary, the remote notary.
Oh, wow.
They were New York notary.
Well, maybe what we could do is when we shoot out a follow-up email to all our Realtor attendees, maybe
Sure.
Chris, maybe you could, we could put that in those notes for them.
Yeah, and we
How
have
that
another,
works?
I have
That's
another
interesting
question.
to me.
Yeah, we have
I don't know
another
why.
question for Chris here too. Chris, someone is asking, Novica is asking, what is the recommended amount to hold in escrow and how do you determine that amount based on the property type?
Well, you have to think of it in terms of, you know, a lot of contracts have that standard post-possession paragraph
Okay,
where, you know, the day of the closing, you'll do a walkthrough, but they need to stay an extra 3 to 4 days in the house. You do a secondary walkthrough. And so most of the attorneys in Long Island, you'll see holding escrow between 25 and 3,500. But remember, you just did a walkthrough the day of the closing. So there's less, you know, there's less of a chance that something
Right.
happened those 3-4 days and not seeing it all the first time. So the 2 that I had last week that I did this, I basically doubled what was normal. So I think I
Okay.
held 6 and 8
okay.
on deals.
So
And,
just
you know,
case by case
If
basis.
things breaking
Right.
down, that's going to
Guideline.
cover 99. Even if your boiler breaks down, it's $6,000.
Right,
So you probably, you know, I think that's a safe amount.
okay,
It's, you know, there's no guarantees. You have to give your client that, obviously, but I think that's
Right.
going to be in the ballpark of what's acceptable.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, and Gordon Lewis is on. Gordon is, we do a lot of business together. He's super active real estate agent. He said that what he's been doing, he says if the house is vacant, he does his walkthrough first, then he'll wait in his truck, and then he's dropping off a checklist on the front steps for the buyer, and then have them on FaceTime, and then they'll go in. He said he did 3 so far this way, and it's all gone
Good
smoothly.
suggestion,
So
Gordon.
that's a good, yeah, thanks, Gordon. That's good. Yeah, you guys are asking great questions. Obviously, you know, people are still finding a way to do business. So, you know,
That's
yeah,
a broker who's giving home warranties on all the homes after they close. I thought that was very clever.
oh, that's
That's
good.
a good
So
idea. That may allay some fears. So,
right.
yeah, so let's get back to Todd. Todd,
Yeah, I
what's
want
going
to
on
hear,
in the
Todd,
mortgage
what's like the
industry?
rates? Yeah, what's
What's
happening
happening,
with that?
man? I know the rates were up and down and up and
Yeah.
down. So it's been like a
Yeah,
roller
we spoke
coaster
last
ride.
week,
What's up?
and the government they gave a $2 trillion stimulus package, and $250 billion went to mortgage-backed securities, and that's kept mortgage interest rates in the mid to low threes in the past week. So it's been really great. I've been getting calls. People are starting to learn how to work in this real estate mindset that we're in right now, as far as doing things virtually and trying to do social distancing. And we've put in policies in place. Right now, anyone who's putting down 15% or more, we do desktop or drive-by appraisals. And then similar to the home inspections, they're going to put masks on and booties and try to keep them separate rooms or out of the house while they do the physical inspection of the property for anyone that's putting less than 15% down.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And a lot of changes have come out for guidelines.
Yeah.
like as far as like overlays and that's just to safeguard banks on default. So a lot of that stuff has been changing on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. And one thing I would encourage all the real estate agents, any pre-approvals that you guys have, I would have them just get some sort of diagnosis on them, speak to the people that issued them. It's anything that's more than 3 or 4 weeks, I would say. So much has changed. Make sure they're still employed, both buyers, and that their status of work is
Okay.
excellent or as close to that as possible.
Right.
Todd, I got a question. If I'm a real estate agent and I have a deal in contract right now, okay, and maybe we went to contract, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, like really before this really hit the fan, this crisis. And now my purchaser is laid off.
Right.
Should I be concerned that my deal might not close?
100%. If they're using both incomes to qualify them, either you have to figure out will they qualify just the one borrower, or if they need to get a cosigner, like a parent that hopefully has low expenses, has income, a good credit. I'm sure there's going to have to be some addendums to the contract if they're already in contract to do that already. I'm sure Chris can speak to that to try to keep the deal together.
Yeah, there are some important steps with regard to contracts. So for the contracts that were done before this started, the standard New York State Bar Estate contract basically has a provision that once that mortgage commitment is issued, that the purchaser bears the risk that they later lose that commitment, and that once the commitment's issued, they're locked in the deal. If they can't close, they can lose their down payment. Now, if it got litigated in this atmosphere, do I think a judge would,
Right.
maybe lean their way a little bit? But one thing that I always try to do on contracts is I try to add a provision that if, through no fault of the purchaser, he loses a commitment, i.e. lose their job or God forbid, gets horribly injured or passes away. I've seen it all in the last 20 years. That would be an out. And then for those not familiar with it, NYSAR put out a COVID addendum about a week, maybe a little bit more already. And the COVID addendum is what NYSAR put out as a suggestion. We've been attaching it to a lot of our contracts. We as attorneys don't like the COVID addendum as much because it basically gives either party like things are too tough, let's cancel the contract. And so it almost makes a contract not a contract.
Right.
There's a provision in there that says, if the purchaser loses their job, etc. But a lot of people are insisting that the rider's in there. And it seems to be, one of them, seller's attorney, buyer's attorney, we're all kind of saying it's either there so we don't do deals at all. And so let's add the COVID rider. And, if things get better or we're able to do the deal, great. If not, at least we made an attempt. So that's been
like
something we've been attaching to the contracts. It's something that's very much on people's minds. And certainly you vet.
Right. It's like a cold feet. If I get cold feet now, I'm going to back out. Like gives people an
That's
easy
basically
out.
rider pretty much almost says that.
Yeah.
It's so gray that if it's due to COVID, you can't close or you don't feel in your best interest to close, you can cancel the contract. And so attaching that rider almost nullifies the purpose of having a contract.
At all. Right.
That's tough.
But it's getting deals in contract and done. And if things rebound and they don't lose their job and they get the mortgage, we close.
Okay.
That's tough.
Yeah.
All right, Todd. Rates.
Okay.
So we keep getting off.
No,
on
I hear the
tangents
rates,
here,
yeah.
but these are all important questions and
No,
great comments by the realtors and also by a
They
panelist.
all kind of cross. We all work together, so it's good to have input from everyone. So no, there's no time that has to be earmarked for me and earmarked for Chris. So I'm happy to go back and forth and share our expertise.
Mm-hmm.
But rates have been great. I'd say from the middle of last week till Friday, they were in the low threes on a conventional 30-year fixed, and the 15-year rates were in the high twos. So
Wow.
certainly a great environment. Some of the guidelines that have changed though, right now, where I used to be able to lock in rates at application, they want the appraisal done, and they want an approval on it. Not necessarily commitment, but a DU or desktop underwriting, or LP for Freddie products, an approval through that, and then I can lock it in on that, because a lot of the servicing banks are getting stuck with people closing, and I'm sure you've heard this too, Chris. And then day afterwards, they're filing and looking for some sort of forbearance because they're afraid about their jobs, or worried about they might not, or their neighbor did it, and they want to see what's available to them. And we're unable to sell these on the servicing end, so we're stuck holding on to these now.
Gotcha. Scary.
Yeah. So Antoinette is asking, Todd, are there a lot of changes in the products that are being offered?
There are some changes going in place, like some of the thresholds for FICO scores for FHA. Those have been raised, where they used to be 580,
Okay.
now they're at 620. Some banks are even at 640 right now. And overlays are just guidelines that the banks put in place to supersede the agency guidelines to protect them as a layer of risk.
Okay.
So if I'm a real estate agent right now and I'm working with a buyer or a set of buyers, it is super important for me to make sure that they still qualify for that loan, right?
100%.
And when you reference the credit scores, are we also including first-time home buyers programs and things like that? Do they have to have a higher score now than what they used to have?
Well, we participate with Sunny Mae. As of yet, I haven't had any changes on that, besides revised interest rates, and those are still extremely competitive right now too. But as of yet, I haven't got anything. FHA right now seems to be making the most changes right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We have another question for you, Todd. What are your thoughts on where mortgage interest rates are headed in the next few months? And do you think with the economic stimulus and the government spending plan, inflation rate, will we see much higher interest rates, soon or in the future? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the government's doing everything they can to ensure interest rates are stable and kept low, because that's what helps the real estate market grow and helps the economy moving forward. A lot has to do, I think, with this pandemic, and when we hit the peak on this and find a solution for this. So if we get back to work sooner, I think it's going to help us. If this takes a lot longer, I really don't know, because it's really a trickle down effect from the economy and what happens to interest rates. I don't know if the government's going to put more money in.
Right.
Suppress.
Your crystal ball is not working very well right now, or?
I'm sorry?
I said your crystal ball is not working very well right now.
No, it's not. No, I got to charge it back up.
So hey, Todd.
What I would encourage
I
people to do is, rates are really great right now. If you have something that's in contract and you're able to lock in, I would encourage people to do it now, because the market is volatile. Anything can happen, and rates can go back up in the fours like we saw it a couple of weeks ago.
I know that when just earlier this year, when the rates were really low, they were historically low. I know there were, mortgage, you guys were all so busy, and it was just a feast, it seemed like. I knew a lot of people that were refinancing their mortgages and their loans. Are you are people still doing that now? Because it's still, even though it's a little up and down, is it still a good time for people to think about doing that? Because rates are pretty low still. Or do you have to worry about, by the time you get that commitment and by the time the deal is, it's done, obviously there's a lot of factors that come into play, but let's say, your job is not really impacted and you're still working, and is it a good time for people to still think about doing that?
100% it is. Rates did spike up a couple of weeks ago, and people that were talking about it and talking to significant other or trying to put documentation together. And then all of a sudden, rates shot up almost overnight. And one particular day, I got repriced 3 times, where the market just went crazy. And last week, I reached back out to everybody and said, all right, coast is clear. These are what changes. These are the changes that happened in setting expectations for people. And a couple people I did was able to get back and get them back to apply again. So yeah, it's definitely a good time if you're considering either doing a term reduction, consolidation of debt,
Right.
or just looking for a rate and
Lower
term.
rate. Yeah. I mean, I think the rate is attractive. I mean, to me, and I have a pretty good rate, but that's an attractive rate. I mean, it's just, is it, they're so, it's a little, again, it's like fear and the chaos that's happening right now. Like, what's the best decision to make? How long is it going to take to get this done? What other factors are coming into play? But it's great. It's a great rate still. So I have friends that are still buying. I know plenty of agents that are selling and buying. It seems like there's still, people are still doing business and still just, again, being resourceful and finding new ways to get it done. But, if there's a will, there's a way, I guess it seems like. And then, as long as everyone's being safe, keeping social distancing and taking the advice of the experts, like, talking about Brett, how he, is going in and doing these inspections. He sounds like he's being safe as possible and still getting it done for people. So, it all seems great still that we can still do business.
One more thing I would like to add, if that's okay, is
Yeah, of
the
course.
documentation. It's real important that people that are applying now bring the most current documentation that they have. We used to allow 90 days. Now it's 60 days
Oh, wow.
for documentation to expire. So to keep everything moving along, even if you don't have it, bring the most recent that you have. And then as soon as you can, update the loan officer or the bank that you're applying with to make sure you have the most current, because it expires a lot quicker now, and to keep things smooth and keep things going.
So if a buyer had, say a buyer is in the process, they're shopping and they maybe had a pre-approval or a pre-qualification, and now they're, say over the last month now they were furloughed. Now they have 30 days of good pay stubs, but the last 30 they don't have. That's obviously going to have it's going to put them in a poor position, I would imagine.
Yeah, for applying, we only collect 1 month's most recent anyway as far as pay stubs. But some people are paid every 2 weeks, and like, oh man, I misplaced it. Now we're a month behind now because they misplaced the most recent one.
Yeah, they misplaced the most recent one.
That happens all too often.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is all good. So agents, if you guys have any other questions, you can enter them in the chat. There's a Q&A. I know Brett will be with us for a few more minutes also, but we're happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left with our experts. So if you guys do have any questions, we're going to wrap it up at 11. I'm sorry, we started at 11. We're going to wrap it up at 12. I had just an idea. I wonder if we could just go to all three of our panelists one by one, and maybe you guys could give a tip that for a real estate agent, what's a really good thing for them and keep in mind. Chris, you want to start with you?
Sure. My business is still being done. I had a couple accepted offers over the weekend. A couple of contracts are being done. You try to be resourceful to, get it in contract, have the client see it maybe direct if you're not there, virtual tours, vacant houses. You have to be resourceful. You have to adapt, but business can get done. It's not just the ordinary way we were doing it, but I would say that it is getting done, and you just got to go out there and do it.
That's a great takeaway, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brett, what would be a good takeaway from you and for a real estate agent that's on today's webinar?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's all about being positive and being patient and being creative. It's really going to take you being creative, doing things that you're not used to doing things in a new way, and we're going to get through it. So just stay as positive as we can and listen to people's needs and be safe. Again, I think 6 feet's a little small. I think 10 feet would be great to just kind of keep your distance and be smart and stay healthy. But remaining positive through all of it is huge. And see what other people are doing, and get on Facebook, see what people are doing with these virtual showings and virtual listings and, walkthroughs and everything, and just get comfortable doing it. It's going to be like this for a little bit, and talk to people. You know, we're here for you. I know everybody on this panel is here for you. So if you have questions, you can always text, call, whatever. You can send us pictures, videos, whatever. We're here to help out. So
I love it.
Great.
Todd, takeaway for a real estate agent today.
Communication, I think, is paramount between
Okay.
all parties involved. That's both real estate listing and selling agents, the three attorneys, the selling and the listing, and the buyers, and the bank attorney. So everybody knows what's going on, what expectations of closing is going to be. More than ever, especially with all the changes that are going on, and so I think that's really
Constant communication.
Yeah.
That is so important. You're right, because there are changes sometimes day by day.
Yeah.
Or,
Stay up on
even
everything.
multiple changes in one day, like the FICO changes that we had last week, and the changes with NYSAR, and I know a lot of real estate agents. I know there were many that were thrilled about when the news first came out from NYSAR that they were deemed essential. I know a lot of real estate agents were thrilled, but there were also
Yeah.
a big number of real estate agents who weren't thrilled. In fact, they were concerned because they were concerned that now they would have to go and show a house, and maybe they might catch the virus, or maybe spread the virus to others. So I'm glad that that NYSAR they cleaned up.
Right.
They clarified rather what they said initially. That's
Right.
good, and I'm glad
Yeah,
that we have people on this, all the experts on this panel, including us. We're still doing business because you have to find a way, and you have to stay positive, just like Fred said, and everybody.
Adam, last week I was asked what we as banks were doing for people in this environment, and I spoke to management, and we rolled out a program called a Pandemic Mortgage Relief Credit, and basically what that is the bank is going to give a credit to pay for the appraisal, and also a $500 lender credit to help people out during these difficult times, and they can use it for whatever they want.
So it's important for realtors then to advise their purchasers to make sure that they speak with their mortgage broker and ask if there are any available fees that can be waived or things like that, and during this crisis. That's important, because maybe if you don't ask, you don't know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
this
think
is
we're
great.
here for people during the tough times that will build a relationship stronger now. And the bank believed in that when I spoke to them, and thought it was a great idea. So this is all tough for everyone right now. Regardless if you're working or not, our lives have changed, and who knows what it's going to look like when we're on the other side of this. This might be a normal practice. Shaking hands might be a thing of the past. Who knows?
Yeah, it is good to see though that everyone is, banks, everyone is like really working together to do what they can to help people. And this is an important industry. We talked about a little bit last week how many other industries are fed off of the real estate industry, but it's an important industry to people personally, because homes, it's usually the most important purchase that they're ever going to make, and when they have to find somewhere for their families to live. And like Adam said a few minutes ago, I had a lot of completely different feedback from real estate agents when that essential classification was first made. Some were really happy about it for the reasons that they felt like they had clients that were really just stuck. They needed to close on a home. They needed to have somewhere to go. And other agents that were upset, feeling like, what is going to be expected of them now? And obviously they have a choice whether they want to go into a home or not. But if you're working with a buyer and they're upset that you're not going to take them to see a house now, it's about having those expectations. So I think it's a good idea for agents, when you are working with a buyer or seller, just set those expectations ahead of time. Obviously that's where most confusion and disappointment comes from, like you said, Todd, making sure that there's a lot of communication between everyone, and people are getting deals done, and people are closing. So I want to thank all of you guys for participating today. Our panelists, Chris, Brett, Todd, you guys are awesome. We appreciate it so much. To all the agents, thanks for your questions. Thanks for participating. I'm going to send you guys a recording of this. So if there's anything you want to listen to again, and of course, you'll have the contact information for all of these great panelists today, so that if you have questions, I'm sure they're always happy to answer them. So feel free to reach out. And we'll be back again next Monday, same time, 11 o'clock, and we'll be able to share some more great information with you guys. So yeah, thanks again for being here. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you, a bunch of you later today, and we'll see you again next week. So thank you guys. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Bye,
thanks.
guys.
Be well.
They've
Bye,
had
everyone.
smart.